Welcome to Afghannews with Masan Jamal. At least 60 people have been killed in a suicide bombing attack at a medical clinic in the Logar province, just south of the capital Kabul. The Ministry of Public Health said 120 others were wounded in the blast which struck in Azra district on Saturday. The Muhammad Darwish, the Logar provincial spokesman, said the bomber had been driving an SUV packed with explosives. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the blast, and the Taliban denied it was behind the attack, with a spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid saying they don't attack hospitals. A new report says little has been accomplished to end the relationship between corruption and the conflict in Afghanistan despite a decade of US-led military efforts. The International Crisis Group's 46-page report provides sobering analysis of a culture of corruption in Afghanistan, which includes collusion with the Taliban at high levels of government. It says violence and billions of dollars in international aid have brought wealthy officials and insurgents together. The result is an economy increasingly dominated by what the report calls a criminal oligarchy of politically connected businessmen. The report comes after a week when US President Barack Obama said he would pull out 10,000 soldiers this year and 23,000 more by the end of next summer. 10 people were killed and 24 others wounded when a bicycle bomb went off in a busy bazaar in northern Afghanistan, officials said. The blast happened in Khanabad district of Kunduz province at around 6 p.m. on Friday. Local officials initially said 6 people were killed and 22 others were wounded, but in a fresh statement Saturday, the Interior Ministry said that 10 people were killed, including a police soldier, and 24 others were wounded, including 18 men, 5 women and a police member. The explosives were planted in a bicycle near an ice cream shop, the statement added. Police have launched an investigation into the blast, which local officials blamed on the Taliban. Despite Afghan government's efforts, militancy has been on the rise in both Afghanistan and the region. President Hamid Karzai says, speaking at the opening session of the International Conference on the Global Fight Against Terrorism in Iran on Saturday, he added that not only has Afghanistan not yet achieved peace and security, but terrorism is expanding and threatening more than ever Afghanistan and the region. A day earlier, President Karzai and his Pakistani counterpart Asif Ali Zardari held a three-way summit with Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad discussing ways of battling terrorism, extremism and drug trafficking. This comes as earlier this week US President Barack Obama announced that 33,000 US forces would leave Afghanistan by the end of next summer. Officials in northwest Pakistan say 15 militants have been killed in a clash between rival militant Islamist groups. Authorities say several people were wounded Saturday in the battle in the Orakzai tribal region near the Afghan border. It was not immediately clear what caused the clash. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted down a measure that would have granted congressional consent for American involvement in military action in Libya, but the House also rejected a subsequent bill which threatened to halt U.S. airstrikes in the embattled country by cutting off funds for military operations. The U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton welcomed the House's decision not to cut the funding. While the first vote is unlikely to affect U.S. involvement in the NATO-led campaign, the rejection of congressional approval represents a symbolic blow to U.S. President Barack Obama. Members of both parties angrily denounced Obama's decision not to seek permission for the U.S. role in Libya as required under the 1973 War Powers Act, which names Congress as the only body legally able to declare war. The United Nations Security Council has said it is gravely concerned about the violence in Yemen 2 days ahead of a visit to the country by the international body's human rights watchdog. A statement issued by the Council after a special briefing on Friday said member states expressed grave concern on the deteriorating security and humanitarian situation in Yemen and urged all parties to show maximum restraint and to engage in an inconclusive political dialogue. Meanwhile, unrest and violence continued in the southern Gulf nation, in which 4 people, including 3 soldiers, were killed in the southern port city of Aden, according to officials and medics. Security forces opened fire as thousands of anti-government protesters took to Syria's streets in a weekly ritual of defiance and demands for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's ousting. Activists said at least 15 people were killed and many more injured in demonstrations following Friday prayers. People had barely come out of Ibn Affan Mosque in the Damascus suburb of Al-Qaswa, chanting for a toppling of the regime when security forces opened fire on the crowd, killing 6 people and wounding 15, Muhammad Sulaiman, a human rights activist, said. More deaths occurred in the central city of Homs, according to Omar Edelbi of the local coordination committees which track the Syrian protests. The military crackdown, which activists say has killed 1,400 people, has failed to silence a pro-democracy movement that has now lasted more than 100 days. Hezbollah leader Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah says the group has captured 3 spies among its members, 2 of whom were recruited by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. The spies, one of whom was recruited 5 months ago, did not pose a serious threat to the movement or its military capabilities, Nasrallah said in a televised speech on Friday. But a spokesman for the U.S. Embassy in Beirut said that the charges were empty accusations. Nasrallah said the CIA agents who hired the spies had diplomatic protection from the U.S. Embassy in Beirut and accused the CIA of recruiting the spies on behalf of Israel. And that heavy rains continue to fall in Manila, Philippines and nearby provinces on Saturday, displacing thousands of families due to floods caused by tropical storm Yari. National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council Director Benito Ramos said over 70,000 families were affected by the downpours and 15 people have been reported missing since Tuesday when the storm entered Philippines territory. Ramos said rescue teams were still searching for at least 10 fishermen who failed to return home on Wednesday, while 5 other people, including 2 children, were reported missing in the southern Philippines. The Philippines is frequently visited by typhoons, with an average of 20 entering the country during its wet season. And that's all for now. Thanks for joining us.